Hello, lovelies. Welcome back to Lifestyle Chapter. Hope you're all feeling well and staying safe. Today on the menu, I'm going to share with you another spectacular Ghanaian recipe. That is the Okro soup, which is going to be served with banku. What you're seeing in the bowl, this is similar to tamales. I'll be bringing the recipe of it very soon to you. So this recipe, it is going to be delicious. It is healthy. I hope you stay with me to the end to see how this village style okra soup is made. And if you're new to this channel, I welcome you to the family and please subscribe. Thank you so much for doing that. And don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you like the video as well. So lovelies, let's get started. So these are the ingredients for the okra soup. I have in the plastic bag some jute leaves, frozen jute leaves. I have some dry fish, tomatoes, habanero peppers, ginger. I have some shallots, onions. I have shrimp, cooked shrimp. I have shrimp powder. I have some blue crabs that I've worked on. The oil, that's the Zomi or the Palmnut oil that I'll be using as well. I have some diced onions, and these are my grilled or baked goat meat. And also the main ingredient here is the okra that has been chopped into smaller pieces. So this is what I'll be using for the recipe, and lovelies, let's get started on that. So I have a bowl here, or a pot, that I'm going to cook my okra in it. So I'm transferring the okra, the chopped okra, into that pot. And to that, I'm adding in some chopped red onions or diced red onions. And this is about 1.5 diced red onions that I'm adding to the okra. And to that, I'll add in about a half cup of cooked shrimps. You can also use fresh or raw shrimps. It is okay to use that. And I'm adding in some water, about 2 cups of water. And to that, I will put it on fire and allow it to cook. So the next thing is the peppers to spice the proteins for this recipe. So I'm going to blend all these in the blender, and then I'm adding in some salt to help it blend, and then I'll set it aside. Checking back on the okra, I'm going to add in the frozen jute leaves. This is going to help the okra to be more slimy. It is optional. If you don't want it, you don't use it. So after about 15 minutes, I came again to check on the okra, and this is how the okra is looking. And you can see how beautiful and slimy it is. So our okra is ready for the soup. Here I'll just stir it nicely and gently. Leave it on to cook for about 5 minutes more, and then I will set it aside and make it ready for the soup. So that is what I'm doing right now. So you stir everything nicely at the bottom so it doesn't get burnt at the bottom. So here the soup pot is ready, and to that I've added in the goat meat. This goat meat was put in the oven for all the fats to come out of it, which is more healthier. And to that I've also added in the crabs, and I'm adding in also the beef tripe. Around this time you can use any protein of choice, anything that you have at hand you can use it for this recipe. And also I'm adding in the cooked shrimp. So these will be the proteins, and I think it will be left with my dry fish. Those will be the proteins for the soup. But if you have any protein of choice, you can just add it and you are good. And to that I've added the diced onions to it as well, because I'm going to steam the meat with it. And also I'm adding in the blended ingredients that I did before. So all these have gone into or gone onto the meat, and I'm going to put it on fire and allow it to cook. But before that, I make sure I don't leave anything in my blender, so I've used some water to rinse it out, and then I've added that water into the pot, and that is also going to help cook the proteins. And I'm adding in some salt. Around this time you have to make sure you put all the salt in there or any spices that you have in there, so that when you put in the okra it doesn't cut the sliminess of it. So that is why I always make sure I put in all the salt from the beginning, so that when it's cooking, it cooks well with the proteins. And then when you add in the okra, it wouldn't affect it in any way. It wouldn't cut the sliminess out of it. And also I'm adding in some shrimp powder to enhance the flavor and the taste of the soup. I'm stirring everything up nicely and gently. I will allow it in for about 5 minutes. Because around this time you have to get the taste well, and I mean the taste that you need for the soup. And you have to also make sure that your proteins are tasty, because you wouldn't want a situation whereby your proteins will not be that tasty when it's being enjoyed. So you make sure you get everything right around this time. So I'm adding in a little bit of salt. After tasting, I realized that I needed a little bit of salt, so that is what I've added to the proteins. And I'm stirring everything up nicely. So to that, I'm adding in just a little bit of oil. So I've added in about a tablespoon of palm oil or Zomi. That is all that I've added in for the soup, because I don't want any oil in this soup that I'm making. And lovelies, if you try this, you are going to love it. Allow it to cook for about 5 minutes or more. And also palm oil cuts the sliminess of okra, So if your palm oil is not cooked well, it can cut the sliminess of it, and then you wouldn't get your okra to be slimy. So I'm allowing it to cook well, even though I use just a little bit of it. And after I've added in the cooked okra, and I'm stirring up everything. I'm giving it a nice gentle stir, and look how beautiful it's looking. This is the village style okra soup. It looks green in color, and it's super delicious and tasty. So I'm making sure the okra is actually stirred well to mix well with the proteins. And around this time, I will not be able to add any salt or anything else apart from my dry fish, which I'll be adding to it, because I don't want to cut the sliminess of it. So I have my dry fish ready, which I'm adding it to the okra soup. And I'll give it a nice gentle stir, and I'll allow it to cook for about 5 to 8 minutes. You should be here to smell my kitchen. It is smelling so good. And lovelies, this is a very quick okra soup recipe that you can make, and you will just love it. So the soup is now done. Everything is looking good. So lovelies, go ahead and give this a try and let me know how well you did. I know you will love it, because this is a super delicious recipe. Look how beautiful and colorful this soup is looking. The okra soup, this is the village style, and I'll urge you to try it. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.